Good morning and welcome back. Today we'll be traveling from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Gallup, New Mexico. So let's get started. Journeying down Route 66, we will be visiting a place where Ernest Hemingway might have written The Old Man and the Sea. We'll be visiting a place where one family passed on a restaurant to another family on a simple handshake, and we'll be visiting a place where Hollywood royalty spent quite a bit of time in the 1940s and 50s. Heading west on the Mother Road, we come to the villages of Casa, Blanca, and Cubero. There we find the Villa de Cubero trading post and gas station. Back in the day, it also included a cafe across the street and tourist courts behind the trading post. This Spanish mission-style building was opened July 4, 1937 by Sidney Gottlieb, an immigrant from Germany. He went on to be a New Mexico state senator and let his brother-in-law Wally Gunn run the Villa de Cubero. Eventually, many of the Gunn family members worked there. So what does this have to do with Ernest Hemingway and The Old Man and the Sea? Let me tell you a tale. Mary Gunn worked in the cafe and cleaned rooms at the tourist court in the early 1950s. She tells the story of having to clean a room of a man, who she later believed was Ernest Hemingway, when he stayed there over 2 weeks. He would drink constantly as he wrote on his typewriter, and even removed the screen from one of the windows so he could throw his empty wine bottles out onto the grounds of the tourist court. He had vulgar language and seldom changed his clothes, and Mary came to dislike him quite a bit. One afternoon, while she was working in the cafe, he came in, and she whispered to the waitstaff, "Al viene el diablo puerco," meaning, "Here comes the dirty devil." She did not realize that Hemingway spoke fluent Spanish. Years later, Mary received a copy of The Old Man and the Sea from the actress Vivian Vance, who happened to have a ranch nearby. She was also an acquaintance of Hemingway's. Inside was the inscription, "From the dirty old devil," with the initials E.H. Now, Hemingway historians say this couldn't possibly have happened because Hemingway wrote The Old Man and the Sea while he was in Cuba during that time. And Hemingway was a prolific letter writer. They point to letters from Cuba that cover most of the years 1950 to 1951. But there was a number of gaps in his letter writing, for up to a month at a time. Could he have traveled during that time and stopped by Cubero? Leaving that mystery, we head west on Route 66 to the city of Gallup. Here we find Earl's family restaurant. In 1947, Walter Tecklenburg opened the Park and Eat to serve travelers on the Mother Road. One of those travelers was Earl Nelson, who stopped by to eat, and when he was driving down the road afterwards, he realized he really wanted to own the place. So he went back and he made Walter an offer, and Walter accepted. The business prospered and expanded. In the early 1960s, Sharon Richards started working at what was now called Earl's Restaurant. By 1972, when Earl was ready to move on, he sold the restaurant to Sharon on a handshake. Eventually, Sharon's son Ralph came to work at the restaurant, starting as a dishwasher and working his way up. He is now one of the co-owners. I had a chance to sit down and talk with him on one of my visits to Gallup. In the 1980s, Sharon, Ralph, and their family started planning for an ideal restaurant and started construction across the street from the original. The current Earl's Family Restaurant opened on December 15, 1990. Earl Nelson believed in giving people a hand up, and in continuing that tradition, Ralph Richards has allowed local Native American tribes to sell their handmade jewelry just outside the entrance to Earl's Family Restaurant. Finally, on today's journey, we come to the Hotel El Rancho. In the 1920s and 30s, R.E. Griffith and his brothers were in the film distribution business and owned many small movie houses in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. In 1937, he opened the Hotel El Rancho as a luxury hotel for the movie people he knew in Hollywood, many who were finding great filmmaking locations in and around the Southwest mountains and deserts. Sources say R.E. Griffith was the brother of the famous film director D.W. Griffith, but none of the biological information I've been able to find on D.W. mentions him having a brother, so I doubt that he was related to R.E. Griffith. The Hotel El Rancho became a home away from home for many Hollywood stars in the 1940s and 50s. The guest register for the first 30 years of the hotel includes the Marx Brothers, Errol Flynn, Kirk Douglas, John Wayne, Humphrey Bogart, and Spencer Tracy, just to name a few. There are movie star glamour shots on many of the walls inside the hotel. The food in the restaurants is excellent. I had lunch and dinner there over the years, and the atmosphere is warm and exciting at the same time. Definitely worth a stop, and even an overnight stay when you pass through Gallup. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that we covered, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Gems and Hidden Histories. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and stay safe.